Hello, hello. It's the 1st of June, the day that Kenya got her her independence. And I just want to read about making your own garden from the book of Mandela's Mandela Way, life lessons on life, love, and courage. So even on a remote but beautiful island, Mandela needed a place apart, a place where he could lose himself to find himself. The early years on Robben Island were bleak. The warders were coarse and abusive. The work was heartbreaking, and the prisoners were permitted only once. The, the prisoners were permitted only one visitor and a single letter every 6 months. For Mandela, an outside world appeared harsh. The eldest son was killed in a car crash. Winnie was under constant threat. ANC was in exile. Apartheid and the government had consolidated its power. It was painful. So in the early 70s, amidst all troubles, Nelson Mandela decided to plant a garden. This sounds easier than it was. First, he had to ask for permission from the authorities, who were suspicious of the most innocent request. Even a simple request could take months. He explained that he wanted to supplement his diet and that of his colleagues in the fresh vegetables, and prepared a campaign to persuade the authorities to accede to this request. Letters were written back and forth with prison bureaucracy. Memos were written. Lawyers were involved. Finally, he was granted the request. The ground was dry and rocky and inhospitable. The garden was approximately 35 feet long and a yard wide, and ran parallel to the row of single cells. Guards were positioned to watch him dig and plant. At first, he used his hands, but he soon acquired some tools, a shovel and a rake. He asked family and friends to send him seeds. While other men were playing checkers and reading and talking in the courtyard, Mandela tended his garden. The other prisoners smiled at the old man and his garden. He was very proud of it. The soil was not very good, he told me, but I managed, to produce some good harvest. He grew tomatoes, onions, chilies, and spinach. He was permitted to give the vegetables to the kitchen to be mixed on prisoners' regular diet of cornmeal and occasional piece of meat. For the first few years, the officials in the prison remained skeptical of Mandela and his garden. They suspected that he had some nefarious motive that they could not divine. Mandela was amused by their reaction. So, if Mandela could plant a garden in prison, he had to go through a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of course, arm and a leg pull, but he just wanted a little piece to plant something. And here, sometimes we have the liberty to do that, but we just don't. So, in the cost to fight climate change, in the cost to fight diseases, in the cost to fight a lot of things that may come our way, we can plant our little garden. We can plant our little garden that we can lose ourselves in it to find himself. That is, he said that he wanted a place that he could lose himself so that he can find himself. So, and that for him was a garden, and it was not a cheap deal. And then, of course, Mandela began to write about his garden in letters to Winnie and others. He related how his plants and vegetables were doing as though they were his children. He talked about the the seasons and the soils and his harvest. Some people may have suspected that he was talking metaphorically, but he was simply writing about what gave him pleasure. So what gives you pleasure today? By the late 70s, the island began to become a bit oppressive. Mandela would give vegetables to the guards for their families, and he was allowed to plant a second garden in the outside the courtyard. Oh my God, this is beautiful. So when you start something, somebody is gonna join in. He was allowed to do a second garden in the courtyard. Hiya. Soon the warders were supplying him with seeds, and he was supplying them with produce. Can you imagine? I mean, look at your life. Look at your life. Start something, and then people will gonna trust you with the seed, because they know once you touch the seeds, they will multiply. Once you touch the seed, they will turn into fruits. They will turn into produce. They will turn into harvest. Start something. Get your garden. Let people pour into that garden. Let the people plant in that garden. Let people trust you with their seeds. Let the earth trust you with seeds so that you can produce. Mandela did it in prison. He did it in prison. During the time we worked together, this book is written by his friend. I made a trip to Cape Town to see Robben Island. At our next session after my visit, I told Mandela I'd been to the island. His first question to me was not whether I had seen the cell or the lime quarry or the solitary confinement block. It was, did they show you where my garden was? Did they show you where my garden was? You know, actually now coming to think of it, wherever I have gone, I started a garden. I remember one time I was living with my friend, and I insisted I have to plant something, and so I dug the ground. I don't even remember what I used, but I dug the ground and I started a vegetable garden someplace in Texas. And wherever I've gone, I think I like farming, and so yeah, a garden will show up. So he didn't ask about the quarry. He didn't ask about the cell. Did they show you my garden? In fact, they hadn't. Oh, the guards who had taken me around had not been on the island when Mandela had been there. They didn't even know about the garden. I hadn't seen everything else, but the garden was gone. Mandela was disappointed. Why? On Robben Island, where there were few pleasures, Mandela's garden had become his own private island. Wow! It quietened his mind. It distracted him from his constant worries about outside world, his family, and the freedom struggle. While so much was withering outside, the garden was thriving. Mandela has always had a great powers of concentration, and other prisoners noted how absorbed he was when he was gardening. He got lost in it. He loved that garden. Ahmed Kathrada told me. So anyway, I could go on and on because this is delicious and juicy and yummy. But find your own garden, make your own garden, and even if you don't have one, allow others to trust you with their seeds. Nurture them, cultivate them, and let them grow. And let's put in a good harvest. Find your own garden. Happy Madaraka Day, Amani. Yeah. Happy Madaraka Day, and God bless you. Bye-bye. My name is Homeboy Wajuguna. Bye-bye.